This article is about the French knight who died in 1356 at the Battle of Poitiers. For the Knight Templar of similar name who may or may not have been his uncle, and who was burned at the stake in 1314, see Geoffroi de Charny. Geoffroi de Charny was a French knight and author of at least 3 works on chivalry. He was born around 1300. His father, Jean de Charny, was the Lord of Liry in Burgundy, and his mother was Margaret de Joinville. His grandfather on his mother's side, Jean de Joinville, was a close friend of King Louis IX and author of his biography. Geoffroi was a knight in the service of King John II of France and a founding member of the Order of the Star, an order of chivalry founded on 6 November 1351 by Jean II of France, similar to the Order of the Garter by Edward III of England. He was also the carrier of the Oriflamme, the standard of the Crown of France, an immensely privileged, not to mention dangerous, honor, as it made the holder a key target of enemy forces on the battlefield. Geoffroi de Charny was perhaps Europe's most admired knight during his lifetime, with a reputation for his skill at arms and his honor. It was said that in his time he was known as a true and perfect knight. Military career. Geoffroi de Charny fought at Hainauten in Flanders, and participated in a crusade under Humbert II of Vienna in the late 1340s. Humbert was a terrible soldier and leader, and the Crusaders signed a treaty with the Turks in 1348. Despite the capture of Smyrna under a previous commander, we know from the chronicles of Froissart that de Charny travelled to Scotland by order of the French king on at least 2 occasions and was well known to the Scottish nobles of the time. The chronicle describes the French knight's visit into Charny briefly in this passage written in Middle English. Maitre Douglas and the Earl Moret knew of their comminge. They went to the haven and met her with them, and received them sweetly, saying how they were right welcome into that country. And the barons of Scotland knew right well Sir Geoffrey de Charny, for he had been the summer before 2 months in their company. Sir Geoffrey acquainted them with the admiral, and the other knights of France. It is recorded and recently translated that Geoffroi was taken prisoner on 2 occasions. Once was at the Battle of Morlaix. It is further recorded that in 1342 Geoffroi was taken prisoner in Brittany, then taken to Goodrich Castle in England, where his captor was Richard Talbot. An English letter patent of October 1343 describes him as having gone to France to find the money for his ransom. It was a rare occurrence that a man would be thus trusted, and since he went on to fight other battles, someone apparently paid Geoffroi's ransom, and he was knighted the very next year. Another incident which provides insight into Geoffroi's mind is the retribution exacted upon Lombardy-born Aymery of Pavia, the man who betrayed him in his attempted recapture of Calais on New Year's Eve, 1349. Geoffroi conducted a dangerous raid on Aymery's castle. Geoffroi took Aymery captive to St. Omer, decapitated him, quartered his body, and displayed it on the town gates. As Professor Cuyper adds, to show that all this was a private matter and not a part of the business of war, Charny took possession only of Aymery himself, not his castle. Negotiations prior to the Battle of Poitiers. Shortly before his death, Sir Geoffroi's dire predictions proved to be truly prophetic, and his recorded words exemplify what only a true and perfect medieval knight might be expected to say. They are recorded in the writings of the life of Sir John Chandos and were made in the final moments of a meeting of both sides in an effort to avoid the bloody conflict at Poitiers during the 100 Years' War. The extraordinary narrative occurred just before that battle and reads as follows. Death. Sir Geoffroi de Charny was killed at the Battle of Poitiers in 1356. A great defeat for the French, in which the French king was taken prisoner to England and the French nobility lost here as well as at Crécy was almost completely wiped out. Froissart's words vividly describe Geoffroi's last actions. His bravery to his king and country, and his dedication to the Oriflamme at the Battle of Poitiers on September 19, 1356. There Sir Geoffroi de Charny fought gallantly near the king, The whole press and cry of battle were upon him because he was carrying the king's sovereign banner, the Oriflamme. Geoffroi also had before him his own banner, gules, 3 escutcheons argent. So many English and Gascons came around him from all sides that they cracked open the king's battle formation and smashed it. There were so many English and Gascons that at least 5 of these men-at-arms attacked one French gentleman. Sir Geoffroi de Charny was killed with the banner of France in his hand, as other French banners fell to earth. Brass effigy. The brass effigy is of the son, French knight Geoffroi de Charny II. It is presented for historical reference only since there are no known images of the father. It is said to be an authentic likeness to the father as well and the son. The effigy translation was generously provided by author Ian Wilson. It states as follows. Here lies the nobleman Monsieur Geoffroi de Charny, at one time Seigneur of Thory, in the district of Beauvais, who died the 22nd day of the month of May 1398. Pray God for his soul. The effigy is frequently represented elsewhere as being of the father, but the translation clearly shows it is of Geoffroi II, the son. Shroud of Turin. Geoffroi de Charny and his wife Jeanne de Vergy are the first reliably recorded owners of the Turin shroud. The first public exhibition of the shroud is memorialized in the pilgrimage medal shown here and dating from that time. The medal shows the image of the shroud with very precise indications in spite of its small dimensions. On this medal, one can see a frontal and dorsal view of the body, the linen herring patterns, 4 marks of burns as well as the coats of arms of the Charny and Vergy families. This pilgrimage medal is exhibited at the Cluny Museum in Paris. Literary works. Geoffroi de Charny's most famous work is his Book of Chivalry, written around 1350, which is, along with the works of Ramon Lull and Chrétien de Troyes, one of the best sources to understand how knights themselves described and prioritized chivalric values in the 14th century. Geoffroi discusses many subjects, but above all he values skill at arms over all other knightly virtues and war over all other forms of contest at arms. He was also the author of Demands pour la joute, Les Tournois, et la guerre, in English, Questions for the Joust, Tournaments and War, a book on knightly pursuits. Only the questions survive, however. The way that the questions are phrased, as well as Geoffroi's actions in his lifetime, allow scholars to reach further conclusions about Geoffroi's conception of chivalry in war.